A good midday Saturday to everyone. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. Well, we're looking at the big picture here. We have some more moisture that's beginning to work in. You can see some cloud cover working in along the spine of the Appalachians. That's moved into most of Vermont. We've had a decent amount of sunshine. That's allowed temperatures to really come up. But we're seeing some significant frontal boundaries off to the west. This is a very vigorous area of low pressure. It's actually producing some severe weather in some parts of the lower Great Lakes and northern Ohio Valley. And this is not going to get to us, as this area of low pressure is going to track well off to the north of our region. But it is going to lay down a little bit of snow in some parts of Canada, and something to keep an eye on. But we are looking at much warmer than normal weather. In fact, record high temperatures today, both Saturday as well as Sunday, are potential as temperatures make a run into the low 70s. Off to the west, another area, a very potent area of low pressure. We're getting this is moving in across parts of Washington and the Pacific Northwest. And indeed, there's a ton of power outages associated with this weather system. You're seeing the wind gusts here, very potent, as this is a lot of jet stream energy being driven by this La Nina weather pattern diving down into the central and northern Rockies. Let's take a look at the latest computer modeling of the GFS and the European. We've had a beautiful stretch of high pressure, and this is that high pressure center that's located off the coast, but it's a thing of the past now, as we have a little bit of increasing cloud cover working in up the Appalachians, maybe even a couple sprinkles, but probably not. This is going to be our main weather system that's going to be working into this area of higher pressure, and thus this area of low pressure is going to track off to the north and east, and it's going to weaken, and we're going to get this particular area of the frontal boundary, which is eventually going to wash out. So much so that by the time we get into late Sunday night and into the day on Monday, that weather system will be a thing of the past, and we'll just have cold air advection being driven in with the next area of higher pressure forming. So let's run the model. We have the European on the left, the GFS on the right. These are in 3-hourly increments, so we'll be bumping this along here. But you can see we're still seeing dry weather being influenced into the region through it looks like Sunday morning, but eventually the dam breaks. But note, this weather system has weakened considerably, and even on the GFS also showing the same thing. So as it moves in on Sunday, it's the northern and western areas that are going to see the main amount of precipitation. But hey, we're talking probably around 1/4 of an inch, and really not a big deal. Maybe a little bit more than that, 1/3 of an inch in the northern Green Mountains and right along the St. Lawrence River Valley. This is going to be washing out, and you can see that process. This is the old high pressure center, and eventually we're going to see this area of higher pressure here really build into the Great Lakes and eventually into the state of Vermont and all of the basically New England and adjacent Canada. That's going to happen as we head into the later part of this next work week. A little bit of leftovers there into Monday morning, and then it's out of here. Here comes the area of higher pressure as discussed. This will also lower the temperatures, of course, because now we're talking about a much colder dome of higher pressure. And indeed, this is taking place, 1042 hectopascal millibars. Wow, that is right up there. And this is going to be setting up and basically right over the top of us, 1040 HPA. And you can see this is a big dome of higher pressure that once again is going to cause some moderation toward the end of the week, the work week, and eventually maybe a little bit into the following weekend. But temperatures will cool off for the middle part of the week as this area of higher pressure sort of gets going, and then it begins to moderate upward. Beyond the period, this is Thursday now, we're into Friday. This is the interesting thing here. We have a subtropical low or tropical low, tropical cyclone that's going to be in formation here, and it looks like it moves into Florida or along the coast. Meanwhile, a trough of lower pressure is going to be timing out in such a way that it's going to take it up the eastern seaboard. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit off the New England coast. That's where the center will be. However, it will enhance a lot of rainfall potentially with this next weather system. Checking the European, the GFS is kind of falling apart on this. But look at the European here. You can see some heavier rains. And this looks like a extratropical low or subtropical low. So that's going to enhance our rainfall potentially. If this shoots a little bit further to the north, we're going to be in a rainy mode. But note, the cold air is not that far away. And just as this moves on out, it may tail off with a little bit of mountain snowflakes. Again, we're talking next weekend along about Saturday. And then beyond that point, looks like we're going to get into another area of higher pressure developing with another cold shot of air and conditions that will probably support close to seasonal norms. Looking at the GFS ensemble centered on Montpelier, Vermont, this is our little bit of precipitation, rainfall that's going to be falling, it looks like, over the northern and western sections of the state primarily. And really, we're not looking at very much in terms of precipitation. And note, high pressure will build in. We got another dry stretch. This is shooting toward the following weekend. So this is about a week out or a little bit beyond that point. Total amounts, notice that the deterministic model here with the blue line of the GFS is even cutting it down compared to the averages. So we're looking at very scanty rainfall, and boy, are we ever dry. How dry are we? Well, take a look at this. This is the latest U.S. drought monitor, and we're almost coast to coast, and in some cases all the way to the Carolina coast, even starting to see abnormally dry conditions here in the state of Vermont. But of course, over the next 7 days, we do have some rainfall that'll be pushing into the region. We're not looking at a ton, though. This is the Weather Prediction Center, the 7-day total QPF. And note, we have about a ½ inch up in the northern areas, closer to about 1 inch amounts in southern parts of Vermont. So between a ½ and 1 inch is likely to fall, and a little bit more enhanced as we get down into southern parts of New England. That's going to be associated with that subtropical or tropical low that's going to be pushing off the coast, and this is being registered now at the tail end, and this is a little bit beyond this outlook period. Looking at the climate reanalyzer, you can see that we're anomalously warm by a considerable amount here. Colder air has swung in with a couple different packages. The coldest is up around Alaska, and that's going to be feeding this way eventually, but again, eventually. A little bit more modified colder air is out west, and indeed, they're getting some pretty windy conditions, as we saw. And a little bit of that gradient wind, by the way, could be affecting us as early as Sunday morning. It's a not a very significant shot, and it's barely worth a mention, but we could see wind gusts in some parts of the Champlain Valley with a sort of combination channeling wind, gradient wind effect, maybe up to about 40, 45 miles per hour and a couple gusts. Best chances for that would be during the mid to late morning hours on Sunday. Latest meteorological output statistics for high temperatures for the next 5 days will be running anywhere from around 9 to 12 degrees above normal. The cold weather is out west. What about 3 days later? We're still going to be above normal weighted temperatures 3 to 7 days out. Cold weather is pretty serious out west, especially in parts of eastern Alberta, western Saskatchewan. With all the anomalous warmth that we're seeing across the northern hemisphere in parts of Europe, eastern half of North America, etc., our tropics are not done yet. And we're looking at a couple systems potentially. This is a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next couple of days. And this will be the one to watch near the Bahamas. The latest indications are it'll take a track toward Florida, possibly go inland, but also possibly ride up the eastern seaboard and become an enhanced rainfall product for our location around the corner, but quite a ways around the corner. And this is that tropical system that could be affecting us as it tracks to the south and east. And last but not least, we'll be watching the formation of this tropical system here. And what you can see is it starts here. This is along about Tuesday. And it starts to move into the Florida Keys, or Florida, excuse me, from the Bahamas, and then work its way up the eastern seaboard. Now note, we have an area of higher pressure here, another area of higher pressure here, but we have an open alleyway to come up the eastern seaboard. The tropics are not done. We're going to have to continue to watch this potential as it works up the eastern seaboard for quite a ways around the corner beyond this outlook period. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.